Hello and welcome to today's beading class. In today's class, we're going to do this lovely bracelet I have. I used squarish beads as a centerpieces, but in this project, I'm going to be using rondelle beads, or what you call crystal beads. So let me quickly run you through the tools and materials we are using for the project. So I'm using 18 rondelle beads. Well, you can use the number that would be able to make a bracelet that will fit around your wrist. But for my wrist, which is a 7.5 inches length, I'm using 18 rondelle beads, and then I'm using size 15 seed beads. For the closures, I have a lobster claw in silver, and I have my jam rings, 2 cream beads, and 2 spaces. I have my lighter. The beading thread is 0.25. Then I have my tools, my flat nose plier and my cutter, and then the beads I selected. So let's dive in. Cut your beading thread to a size of 40 inches, and then you thread them in your beading needle. I'm using 2 beading needles, and these are the Big Eye beading needle. If you don't know what it is, you can refer to our tools and materials in beading, and I talked about it there. So I'll be stringing it through the big eye of the needle. I'll just part it open and then put my thread through it. So with my needles strung, I'm going to, it doesn't matter where you start from anyway, but with my right hand, I'm going to pick on 6 of these seed beads. You can see I picked on 6. Then onto it, I get a crystal bead. I bring it to the middle of the thread. You make sure that it goes to the center of the thread, so like that, because you're going to do a weave, so you want to make sure that on both sides of your thread you have equal length. Then next I will get another bead, seed bead. So that is my seed bead. Now I'm going to do something that is called crossing. So I'll put my bead onto my needle, get it onto the one side of the thread like that, you can see. Then I'm going to bring my other needle from the other end to go through the eye of the bead like that. So to do like a cross, to go through the eye of the needle, the bead, and then I'll pull my thread apart, like that. So I will have this. Okay. So this is what you get. I'm just going to repeat this in a pattern. Now you remember that I put my 6 seed beads on my right needle. This time I'm going to go the opposite way and put 6 seed beads on my left needle. 6. Get it all the way down. Then on the right needle, I'll get the crystal and 1 seed bead for my crossing. Okay, so I'm going to push the crystal down, get my other needle. Let's look at the crossing again, to come in this way to make a cross with it. So that is what is called crossing in beading. And then I'll draw my threads. So you should have this. I'm going to have put it down. So the third step, now my seed beads is going to come on my right needle now. So I'll pick on 6 seed beads. Remember, some of the seed beads are uneven in size. So as you work along, make sure that you are selecting the seed beads that are quite equal in size to give you, a good finish. So like I said, this time around, my 6 seed beads come on my right needle. I'm going to send it all the way down, leave it there, get my rondelle or crystal bead onto the left, get 1 seed bead in addition to it, and on this 1 seed bead is where I'm going to do my crossing. So I bring my needle over that way, and then I'll draw my string. So you can see, very easy and beautiful. So I'm going to carry on this way till I get to the top, and then I'll come back. Okay, so there we are. This alone is a pattern on its own, but we're going to add a third step to it to get these edges looking pointed a bit. No, the third step will give these pointed edges to it, but now we've just had it, a spiral manner. You realize that after beading, one side of your beading thread is shorter than the other. So mine, the right side of my beading thread is shorter than the left side. So what I'm going to do is go through the length of my bracelet now with a shorter needle or with a shorter thread, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try and bring the thread to the opposite side. So I'm going to go through my crystal, just threading it back to the opposite side. Go through my crystal, and then we'll go through the connecting bead, the bead that we did the cross on. Just pick on that one only, so you can see it, the bead that we did the cross on. If you look at it, just go through only that. Okay, just threading it back to the opposite side, and then we'll work with 1 beading thread. So if you look at it, I'm going to go through my crystal. That is all I'm doing. Go through the crystal. You get it? Let me put it down so that you can see. So go through the crystal. Let me get this one out of the way. Go through the crystal. Then you pick on the bead that you did your crossing on, which is here. Just that one. You go through it. Okay. And then you go through the next crystal in front of you. You're just trying to go down. That's all we're doing. You're just trying to send the bead and the beading thread down. Go through the crystal, then go through your next bead here. Just that bead. And then the crystal. So you carry on like that till you get to the end, and you leave it there. We've been able to send one end of our beading thread down. I'm just left with one at the top here, and then the one we sent down is also here. I'm going to just pin that into my beading mat to let it stay there whilst I work with the other end. So now the next step, very simple and interesting, is I'm going to put my needle through 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th bead here. I'm going to go through all of it to that end. So look at it, look at me do that. My thread is out of the 1st bead. I'm going to go through the 2nd bead, the 3rd bead, and the 4th bead. So I'm going to come out here. So you've seen that I have gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm out of the 4. Now I'm going to pick on 3 extra seed beads. Get the thread out of the way. 1, 2, 3. I've picked on 3 seed beads. I'm going to send it down the thread, and then that is what I'm going to do next. Now you see I have come out of this bead here. I'm going to go back around it again into the same bead, and then this is what I'm going to have, if you can see it properly. And then from there I'll carry on through the rest of the beads, travel all the way around to this bead here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go to the first 4 beads, come out, string on 3, go around it again and do this pointy bit here. Come through the remaining 8, come out and repeat the same pattern. Okay, so let me go through the remaining 8 and come out now. So I've gone all the way around from here. I've carried on round 8 beads, and I've come out of here. If you can see it, I've come out of this end. I've come out of here. I'm going to string on 3 seed beads. 3 seed beads, if you can see. Okay, I'm going to send it down the thread. And then as you can see from here, bring it back into this bead again at the opposite end, just that bead. Then I'll pull on it. Now I'm going to carry on from there to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then do the same thing there. So it's an 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, until we get to the other end of it. So it's a repeat of pattern until we get to the other end. Okay, now I'm beginning to see a pattern change, but it's the same thing. So you have to go through 8 and 8, but because of the size of the seed beads, you realize that in some areas when you go through 8, you would have gone further down, and then you'll be missing this shape. You see, so this shape would have pushed further down. Now what you have to do at this point is, when you count 8 and you see that the step has pushed further down, just end on 7. It is for some beads you'll be ending on 7, or you'll be going on to 8 to do this pointed star bit here. So like I said, do the first 4, carry on to the next 8. For the next step, I realized that going to 8 was going to end here, and that would be too further down and not kind of centering it at this point. So I came to 7. As you carry on, you may see that for some points you may have to carry on to 6 beads, or even 7 or 8. So I realized that it's going to be an interval of between 6, 7, and 8. Depending on the size of the seed bead that has gone there, it determines where to go. But the main thing I want to draw your attention to is you make sure that your pointy bits are centered, you know, between this gap here, just between this gap here. Try and center your point there. You get it? So between this gap here, try and center your point there. Look for the center bead and come out of there, and then do your star bit there. As you carry on between the star bits point here, try and center your point. Now let me bring the one I just finished so that you get a better idea of it. Now if you look at it, you see that the centering is at the middle of the arc here. You get it? The middle of the arc here is where you find the center bead, and you do your rounded bit, or your star bit, or your 3 star, or your 3 seed beads. So just try and locate the center bead of the arc that is going round the bead here. You get it? Come out of that center bead, string on your 3 seed beads, go around it like this, and come back into that same bead. Come and pull your needle out, carry on, and find the center bit of the arc you have going around the bead here. Okay, just locate the center bead, come out of there, string on your 3 seed beads, go over like that and come back again into that same bead, pull it out and carry on with it. Okay, so at this point you are either going to be doing picking on 8 beads before you come out and string on your 3 and then go over it, or 7, it depends. So you have to determine this yourself, just because the seed beads are not equal size, and this makes it difficult to give you the exact beads you have to go through. Okay, so this is what I have in the end, but I'm looking for a bracelet length of 7.5 and this is 5, so I'm going to have to give it some extra length like that here, about an inch on each side. So 1 inch of this pattern here and another inch of this pattern here. At this point you can finish it off with anything. You can just do a single string of beads about an inch, or do a pattern bead string of beads about an inch on both ends before we put on our closures to bring us to 7.5. So this is 5, an inch here, an inch here, that takes me to 7, and then the closure takes care of the 5.5 inch on the other side. So this is it now. Now I have both beading threads meeting here at the end, and I have one thread going this way, the other thread going this way. So I'm going to string on 3 seed beads on the left thread, 3 seed beads on the right thread, then get 1 seed bead again onto one of the threads and do a crossing with it like that, like we always do. So watch me do the first step and then you carry on with it. So I'm going to get 3 seed beads on one side, then on this other side, so I get 3. So I have 3 on each side, then get a single seed bead onto one side of the needle, send it not down completely, and then do a crossing with it. So this is it. And then I'm going to do a crossing going this way. Okay, so I'll have this, I'll lay it down so you can see it in this pattern. You know, I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to do about 3 to 4 of them. It depends on how many of them will give me the length I need. So I've done 1. I'm going to repeat it, get 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and do a cross on one other seed bead. See, so I need a third one, probably give me an inch. So this is what I have here. Let's see how to finish it off. So I'm going to bring both needles together. First, get a crimp bead onto it. So I'll get a crimp bead onto it, onto both of them. Hopefully I'll be able to get both needles into the eye of the crimp bead. I've done that. Let's see. I've been able to do that. So get a crimp bead onto it first. Then I'll get my spacer. Spacer is just to give it a beautiful effect and a professional effect. So get it on my spacer onto it now. Then I'll get my jump ring. So get my jump ring onto both of them as well. Then bring my needle over the jump ring. I'm going to bring my needle over the jump ring into my crimp bead, into my spacer and my crimp bead, like that. So I'm going to have it looking like this. Hopefully you can see it looking like that. Okay, make sure that everything is tight and in place beautifully, because once you crimp it you cannot do anything about it again. Okay, so you can choose to send your needle through a couple of beads before you cut your thread off. So at this point I can crimp it now, and then I can cut my thread off here. Give it a little bit of length before you cut it, and then bend the ends off to secure it properly. Then you know that everything is in place. So we have one end of the bracelet finished Now you see that you've come out of your needle. I'm going to finish this other end without the needles, but of course you could go on with a needle as well. So I'll get about some few inches of thread. I'm just finishing off, so I don't need a lot. Then I'm going to go through just this last bead here because I'm trying to finish off. So I've just gone through just one bead, as you can see, just one bead. Make sure the threads are equal. So bring the threads together. Okay, then just like we finished the other end, get 3 beads on this end, 3 beads on the other end, get 1 bead and do a crossing with it like we did on the. So we've come to the end of today's project, finished off beautifully with the lobster claws. Hope you enjoyed it and see you again in the next video. Have a lovely day.